Hi, my friends. My name is Steph, and I'm about to make a really, really big mistake. Or something, it could be great. It could be really good. But the issue is, so here's my issue. Yeah, let's get into my issue first. My issue is at 6 o'clock. My mum isn't home from work yet. So I want to go see how my first day back at work was. And then I'm going to be having dinner at some point. And I've got a feeling the task I'm about to embark on is going to take longer than the time it takes between now and dinner. But I'm just going to, we're just going to go through what's happening. The issue is that lately I have been trying, oh my God, Steph doesn't know how to be a booktuber, but going to give it a red hot go. My issue is that when I am in an unhauling mood, how to say this without sounding ridiculous? When I'm looking at my shelves for books that I'm not interested in, books that I want to unhaul, I'm obviously looking at the books that I can see, right? Apart from the bottom shelf, which is triple stacked, I go through those on like the regular. But generally speaking, like I haven't entirely pulled off that front layer of books on that long shelf for as long as I've been double stacking books. Which I feel like is a problem because hypothetically, like in my head, I'm like, oh, I know roughly what's there. Like I know I've got some Neil Shusterman and I know I've got some David Levithan and yada yada yada. But actually physically looking at the books in its entirety is something that has never happened. So what my plan is to take off every book on the front layer. I don't want to do it, but I want to do it. Is to take off every book on that front layer, then look at the entire shelf's back layer in its entirety, and then unhaul some books. And knowing me, because of the effort I'm going through, I'll probably unhaul some books that I don't really want to unhaul, but I feel like I need to justify this process. And you know what sucks? Is there's no room in my room to even film the process of me taking my books off the shelf. I also need to poop now, which is going to delay this whole project by at least 5 minutes. I'm just going to get started when I can and give you some sort of update. Hi guys, it has been a couple of hours since you last saw me. I have showered, washed my hair, started and finished a book that is going to be mentioned in this part of the video, which is my unhaul. So I'm going to do an unhaul and then I am going to have a little bit of a rave about a book I just finished reading that I really enjoyed, but not the same one that I'm unhauling. I've done a lot of reading today. So let's jump into the unhaul section. I feel like I've read a fair few of these. So first we have On the Come Up by Angie Thomas. This was her sophomore novel and it was fine. It was good. There were moments in it that I enjoyed, but I've decided that, or I've realized, the books that feature music or songwriting or lyric writing tend not to be my jam. On the Come Up, Let Me Hear a Rhyme, even maybe Someday by Colin Hoover, I don't read the lyrics. I don't care about that whole process. It's just not something that I personally care about reading about words. So that is going to get unhauled. I also have Watch Us Rise by Renee Watson and Alan Hagen. I don't remember why I bought this book. It was probably around the same time when I was buying like Moxie. And just like books about like girls fighting for their right to party, fighting for their just rights full stop in like a school setting. but I'm never going to read that, so we're not holding on to it anymore. Next, I have got, well, I had a couple of books by the same author. Yes, so we've got a couple of David Levithan books on here, which destroys my soul because I love David Levithan. I will read anything he comes... At a point in my reading career, I would have read anything this man came out with. I just haven't really, like, I literally unhauled, where is it? Every Day by David Levithan. And then just before that, I unhauled Take Me With You When You Go or something like that. So I haven't actually been keeping up to date with his releases. These are all old releases, but I still haven't... I'm very tired. I'm sorry. This is going to be so ranty. This is going to be like a long-winded unhaul. Okay. Naomi and Eli's No Kiss List. I've wanted to read for ages just so I could watch the movie that has Victoria Justice in it, because back in the day I actually liked Victoria Justice, but I don't now, and I'm not interested in this book whatsoever. Marley's Ghost I was kind of interested in for a while there because it's like a modern Valentine's Day story that's like a Christmas Carol inspired. Like a guy, so Ben's girlfriend Marley dies, and then on Valentine's Day Marley's ghost shows up with 3 other ghosts and talks him through like, you have to change, you can't mourn me forever, or something like that. And I like that this cover matches all the other David Levithan covers I have. But, and like, it's so short, yeah. It's only 170 pages. And it's got illustrations in it. But you know what? You know what? I've already gotten rid of it from Libib. It's going. It's going. I can't hold on to stuff like that's been sitting on my shelf for fucking years. And the last David Levithan we have, which is also in collaboration with Nina LaCour, is You Know Me Well. I have read this book. I actually read this one. I think I borrowed it from the library when I first read it, and I found it like for relatively cheap somewhere online, but I don't remember anything about it, and that's usually not a good sign. Like a lot of the books I read years ago that I keep on my shelves, the ones that I remember, I do not remember a single thing about this book, so it is also leaving. And next we have got 3 books by Jennifer E. Smith. So we have an arc of The Statistical Probability of Love at First Sight. I got this, I think I bought some books from someone on eBay and they just sent me a bunch of arcs, or like they lived in the same town as me, so when my dad went to pick up the books for me, they just gave him an extra, like a bunch of arcs. I think it was 6 of them. And the only one that was like cool was Cinder by Marissa Meyer, which I've traded with someone long ago. That's irrelevant. I really liked this book when I first read it because it was free. My best friend Sarah also read this book, but she doesn't remember anything about it. And what I remember about this book is that it's in the present tense and it's in 3rd person, which I found really weird. Like, she smiles at him, he smiles at her. She walks over to him and says, and it was just a really weird tense, especially for a YA romance. I'm never going to read it again. And it's from 11 years ago. Damn. So that can go. Then we have a newer release by Jennifer E. Smith, which has gotten a lot of like praise online. It's gotten a lot of good vibes, and it is Field Notes on Love with some gold foiling. But I decided I was only going to keep one of Jennifer E. Smith's books because I don't even know if I like her writing style that much. And the plot of Windfall sounds like something I would be more interested in, so this is going. And the last one I have, gosh, I still have the price sticker on it. I bought it for $5 from Savers, and I don't know when. It's been on my shelf for so long and hiding for so long. That was the whole point of this like bookshelf reorganization, was to see books that I hadn't seen for a while and figure out if they were still worth holding on to, which this one apparently is not. It is The Geography of You and Me by Jennifer E. Smith. I'm not sure if it was this one that my best friend read and was neutral about, or if it was This Is What Happy Looks Like, which I don't own, but either way, like, they get stuck in an elevator together for a while, a couple, like, you know, however long it was, and then, like, for some reason that's just keeps them bonded over time and space, and I don't care. Next, this one's going to piss a lot of people off. I don't particularly care. It is Station 11 by Emily St. John Mandel, or St. John, as I've heard people say. St. John, St. John, whatever. This is meant to be like a post-apocalyptic civilization where people perform Shakespeare in the forest or something. I have no idea what this is about. I only picked it up because it was popping on BookTube, but like, even if I wanted to read this book, I physically couldn't because the font, I don't even know if you can really tell, but the font is fucking tiny. Like, I have really bad eyesight. As well as the fact there's a massive, like, that price sticker left so much gunk. It is disgusting. I don't like the cover. I'm never going to read this book, but even if I was to read this book, it would not be at this time in my life, and it wouldn't be this particular copy. I'm happy with unhauling books, knowing that 5 years from now, I might want to repurchase them. That's going to be one of those books, if I ever feel the need to read it, which I don't think I will. But in the back of my mind, like, I don't mind getting rid of it now if I need to revisit it later. Next, we have The Holiday Switch by Tiv Marcello. I read this during December last year, so 4 months ago. Oh, I'm getting this book confused. I am an idiot. Okay, so let's just talk about this book. This book actually wasn't terrible. I was thinking of another book I read. I was thinking of an ebook I read that made no sense. Like, the whole plot was about the main character's work uniform, but it was supposed to be... Anyway, this book actually wasn't too bad. But I don't know if I want to keep it. I'll have to go back and look at my review for it, because in my head this was like a 3-star book. I don't really want to keep a 3-star book, and the fact that I got it confused with a different Christmas romance I didn't enjoy probably isn't a good sign, because I don't really specific anything. I don't really remember anything specific about this book. Is this the one that writes? Oh, I kind of did like this one, I think. Yeah, she writes book reviews online. Okay, I'm gonna have to reread my review of this one. This one actually I might be holding on to. The other ones definitely aren't. Cool. Next I have Vicious by V.E. Schwab. First of all, the person that bought me this book is no longer in my life, and I have a lot of like not great memories about that person, so I'm great with unhauling this. Second of all, it is the ugliest cover to a book I have ever seen. I don't know what vibes it's giving me. Like 2005, like in the school library, and has been borrowed for months. I don't know, that's the vibe I got from this cover. Third of all, I've had this for at least, well, it was released in 2014. I was going to say I've had it for at least 7 years, 6 or 7 years. I've never picked it up, and while I definitely feel like if I was to read and enjoy any of V. Schwab's books, it would be this one, because I know that this is meant to be like a Slytherin story. Who's actually the villain here? Who's the hero? Is there a hero? It's not going to be this copy, and it's not going to be anytime soon. Same with Station 11. I'm quite accepting of the fact that 10 years from now I might, which, like, why would I? If I haven't picked it up in the last 7 years, why would I pick it up within the next 10? But anyway, if I ever do want to read it one day, this is not a vibe. This cover is awful. I don't want to be reminded of the person that gave it to me. Sorry if they see this, but, you know, things got really awkward and shitty towards the end there. So that's gonna go. This is such a long unhaul. I've unhauled like 8 books. Anyway, moving on. Oh, awkward. I did not even realize that this is a book that I received from the same person. It is A Monster Calls by Patrick Ness. That wasn't even why I picked this up. I picked this up because I know it's like magical realism / metaphor about cancer / like, I don't think it's a YA. I think it's probably like right in between middle grade and YA. And I know it's supposed to be sad and it makes a lot of people cry, and I only was interested in this because I think it was referenced in one of my uni classes, and then I never read it. So, like I said, the same person that gave me Vicious actually gave me this one. This was a spare copy they had because they owned the illustrated edition. Someone gifted them this, but they already had the illustrated edition, so they just gave me the paperback that is just words. But I'm kind of, if I ever read this, I'm going to want to read the illustrated copy. So this can also go. Next I've got two hardcovers. They are two short story anthologies. One I have read, one of them I haven't. Okay, the first one is Hungry Hearts. This was an interesting collection, but not interesting in a, oh my god, I couldn't pull away kind of way. Interesting in a, the genres in this short story collection were so varied. Like, there was a superhero story. There was some, like, quite a few romances, because they're Hungry Hearts, Tales of Fruit and Love. But it was, yeah, just very strange. And to be perfectly honest, honestly, the most interesting story, I think it was about a girl whose mum cooks things that will make people feel better. Like, if someone's sad, she'll make them a specific thing that makes them feel better. Very like Encanto. I've really seen the movie, whatever, irrelevant. So I kind of only bought this and read it because Kayla really enjoyed it, but it just wasn't my vibe. As soon as I finished reading it, I was like, oh god, I can't believe I spent money on that. And I've only kept it because I spent money on that, but that's not a good reason. It's taking up space on my shelves. The next short story collection is called Three Sides of a Heart, which is edited by Natalie C. Parker. Now, this is a bunch of short stories all about love triangles, I believe. Stories about love triangles. Now, it's really hard to pull off a decent love triangle, so I'm not sure why I thought that reading a short story collection about love triangles would be great. But I'm gonna put it down before I even pick it up, because I feel like it'll just annoy me, you know? Last book I have to unhaul is one that I started like an hour and a half ago and just finished. It's called We Come Apart by Sarah Crossan and Brian Conahan. This book is a free verse novel about two delinquent teenagers and their precarious friendship that leads into a very hesitant romance that leads to them basically ruining each other's lives and then separating. It was really, it wasn't hurtful, it wasn't cute, it didn't make me feel anything except annoyance. And the ending, like, what was the point of the whole book? Like, what was the point? I just disliked it. I gave it 2.5 stars. I was intrigued enough to continue reading it, but the last, like, 3 vignettes, they're called vignettes because they're not really chapters. Maybe they are chapters. The last like 10 pages, just, I was sitting there like, you cannot leave, you're leaving the book, that this is how the book is. And it was the same vibes I got from Beau Was Afraid, which I saw the other night, where it ends and you're like, but what else? What else? So this is getting unhauled as well. Now, 2 books I also wanted to like throw in here. So I've got Moonrise by Sarah Crossan as well. I want to try read it to see if I enjoy it. It follows 2 brothers. One of them is a teen. One of them is on death row for murder, I assume, which could be interesting. And if it's just from the single point of view, it'll hopefully be less confusing than We Come Apart was when I first started it. But the book that I really want to just tell everyone to read is Mirrorland by Carol Johnstone. This book, it was so good. It was so good. This book had just the most beautiful atmosphere. It had really interesting characters. It had really interesting twists and different reveals. And it was just, I have no words. Basically, it follows these twin sisters, Kat and Elle. When they are kids, they basically create a magic place inside the house called Mirrorland. And in Mirrorland, nothing can hurt them, nothing is dangerous. They are the rulers. They create different scenarios where they're fighting pirates and cowboys, and they just have this imaginary land. They've got imaginary friends, and eventually the boy next door, Ross, starts joining them on these like Saturday playtimes. Time passes, they all get older, and the book starts with Kat receiving word from Ross that his wife, Elle, so Ross and Elle got married, like obviously before the book starts. Ross is telling Kat, you need to come back to Edinburgh. Kat went missing when she was on a sailing boat. Like, she sailed her boat out to the ocean. The boat is missing. No one knows where she is. So Kat, despite never wanting to go back to Edinburgh, she ran away from Edinburgh to the US, and she never wanted to go back. She goes back to basically stay with Ross while they figure out what's happened to Elle. And it's really strange because when she initially meets up with Ross and goes to Ross's house, it's the same house that she and her sister grew up in. And she's really like, we all said we never wanted to come back here. Like, it's so strange that you guys bought our childhood home and moved into it. Things get really weird from there. I don't want to say too much else, but basically, like, well, it tells you in the first chapter. Kat is convinced that Elle isn't dead. Kat's convinced Elle's faking her own death. She's doing this for attention. Obviously, the cops get involved and are like, you're insane. Like, clearly there's something wrong. Your sister's missing. Ross is just an emotional mess. We get more and more backstory to their childhood and what led to them leaving their childhood home and what led to Kat running to the US. It was such a good read. Like, it was one of those books where, kind of like the Kay Webster book, Whispers in the Roars, where you spend so much time like kind of confused, kind of intrigued, like, where's this gonna go, what's gonna happen, and then when the puzzle pieces are put together, you just like, how it was weaved and crafted so beautifully. So I 100% recommend this book. I don't recommend well, that's not true. Take what you will from my unhaul section, and I will see you at some other point. Bye.